Um, I'm led to participate in this conversation now today. My name is Julia. Um, I am from Voices for Animals, and today I want to talk to you about productive interaction with volunteers. So, first of all, I would like to tell a little bit about myself and about my experience. For who doesn't know me, and maybe we can know each other better. Okay, so I work as a volunteer, like coordinator of work with volunteers in Voices for Animals. This is an organization in Russia, in St. Petersburg, but now we are going to spread all over Russia, and we are going to have some teams in different cities of our country. I organized the first Russian animal rights conference training for activists by Melanie Joy and Tobias Lennart, and annual animal rights march in St. Petersburg. And a little bit about myself, not about Voices for Animals. I'm the organizer of the large festival Legal Sign. Maybe you have heard about it. It's about veganism, ecology, and social justice. So it was held for 2 times offline in St. Petersburg and 1 time offline. And I also work in Human Resource Development Department at IT company. And I was working for 5 years as a store manager and training manager. I was training also store managers and store administrators. So I can tell that I have a rather big experience in adaptation, in motivation, in hiring, and in work with people. So let's start. About 2 years ago in Voices for Animals, we had a lot of problems with volunteers, and I think that a lot of NGOs, they meet the same problems at the beginning of their activity. So volunteers were not interested in different activities of organizations. First of all, it was very difficult to interest them, and but organization roots everyone who wants to, who just filled the form, and they told that they want to participate in organization's activities, and organization hires everyone, they put everyone's, but after that they see that volunteers lose their motivation and they are not involved in work process, and sometimes they ask different questions about let's do this activity, let's take action, this campaign, for example, but you know that this is not the focus that your organization was chosen earlier, but you didn't tell about it to your volunteers, so they are not in context now, and they ask you a lot about it, and they don't understand the role they can play and how and they be useful for their organization, and they don't understand the way organization decided to do their job, something like this. And as a consequence, a lot of volunteers, they lose motivation quickly and give up the movement. And this is very upset for most of us. So we were working on this problem during the last 1 year, and I want to share my my work and my results with you. Maybe it will be helpful for you. Maybe you will find something useful and something what will be suitable for your organization and for your team, and you will use it. It will be very nice. So First of all, we started to work on different services and platforms like Slack, Trello, and Airtable. I will tell a little more later about it when we will tell about this part of work. The second part, today I will tell more about introduction process because this process was the biggest part of my job during the previous year, and this is the process that was already, like, you know, I can tell that this is okay now. We have a lot of problems, of course, and we have a lot of things to do in future, but now I can tell that introduction process is okay, and I can share my experience with you. So the first step is questionnaire. We made absolutely other form, and now it's more helpful for you, for person who works with volunteers in organization, and I think this is very, very good now. So after that, we have initial email and initial training with 5 tasks. This is what it was a new part of our introduction process. Earlier, we didn't have some training, and now this is a very good thing. I will tell about it. So after that, we have video call. After that, they join Slack. We tell the team about the person tells about himself, and we try to make some connection with them, and after that we introduce him or her into project. And of course we have second call after 2 or 4 weeks later. So Airtable is a very good thing. This has free plan. Maybe it will be interesting for you, for organization without great budgets, of course. This is like an easy CRM system. So here we have our questionnaire, our form, and then person fill the form. We can see it here in the first column at right. So after that, so we can see when we have a new demand to join our team. This is also very good connected with Slack, for example. So I receive notification in Slack, then somebody wants to join us. So after that, we can move these arts with a person from one column to another, and all team, for example, all activist team or all HR team. For example, in Voice for Animals, me and I have my colleague Nastya. We work together at this process. So if she works with some person, for example, this Anya from Tashkent, so she moves. She sends out the first letter. She moves the art to the second column. I can see it, and I don't ask her several times about what's going on with this person. So it's very, this is a very good thing to work with. So yes. This is our questionnaire. This form is on our sites. This is from Airtable. We can put it here. So we also have some questions about experience, person, and here we have questions about special experience, for example, design, photo, video, SMM, and so on, writing. These things, which is very important for all NGOs, I think it's, so you can see like a person only filled the form, and you can look at this for, I don't know, 1 second, and you will see that this is person who you want to like hire to recruit in the first time, because now you need a person who can make some design, for example. We also put some questions about like teamwork, about some personalities. I don't know how to tell. So for HR, this is very important to understand. Does this person likes to work alone or in team? Does he or she likes to work, for example, in some not very work in some instructions, or they want to make some varieties and don't want to have a lot of boards and so on. So it helps in, for example, in video call, you can tell about these moments and to learn more about it. Sorry. So after person filled the form, we send out the first letter. We tell about the organization in about 2 words, and tell about the role the volunteer can play and take in our organization. And we suggest him or her to make some tasks, to do some training, to learn more about organization, about its ways to decide the problems, something like this. So I'll call it initial training. What is it for? This is very good to give an overview of the organization, to tell more about projects, the goals of the projects and its objectives. Reasons for choosing particular area of activity. For example, why do you work with farm animals and you don't work with cats and dogs? Why do you work with fur animals and you don't work with circus, zoos and so on, with entertainment area? So here you can give some tasks to a person to understand the reasons of this way that you have chosen, you like an organization. Also, you can tell about your practicing approaches. In our case, we have, for example, effective altruism. You can tell about acceptable in your organization communication format. And of course, what exactly volunteer and do in your organization. So here I will show you some types of tasks we use in Voices for Animals. For example, we have 5 tasks. They all like to watch the video and tell their opinion, tell do you agree or do you disagree, and why, of course. Or to read the article and also to share your opinion, to share your experience, to tell what do you think about it. And this is very important to ask person to write something, to think about it, to answer the questions. So the task to read the article or to watch these videos, it doesn't work. They won't watch, or they will do it on diagonal. So in the end, they will tell, hey, I have read it, I understood everything, but no, they didn't understand everything, and you will face the same problems I told you in the beginning. So your task is to try to give the opportunity to your potential volunteers to think about it and to write their opinion and to share it. So this is the types of tasks I can suggest you, for example. And you should think about what is the most, you know, about the problems your organization, the volunteers face, then they owe to your organization. For example, you feel that sometimes they communicate with each other and with the other world, not in the way you prefer and your organization prefers to work, for example, and so they may be a little bit abrasive or something like this. So they only weekends and nothing else. So if you know that you have this problem, for example, I give to volunteers this type of video series on effective vegan advocacy from Melanie, Joy, and Tobias Linard. So I show you that this is the way, this is approach we prefer, we choose, and we hope that you will behave in the same way. So think about your problems and choose tasks that is suitable for you and which will decide your questions. So after that, we have initial video call. This is a very important part because this is live communication, not so live, but more live than just writing in social media. So you need to talk with a volunteer, to talk about the organization, to tell about yourself, and they can talk about their own things, and you can better understand their motivation. Sometimes they can't write it in words, you know, then they fill the form, and then you talk to each other, you can understand much more interesting things than you can read from their form. So, and of course, for new people, it's much more easier to ask for help from you, for example, than they have already talked to you like in Zoom, in Hangouts, or so on. So they feel free to do it, and this is very, very good. So they want, they will tell to you, then they will have some problems. So after that, we all our volunteers to join Slack. They invite them to Slack. So what is it? Maybe you don't know about this platform. This is a channel-based messaging platform, and this is our main communication platform. And here, all our information is shared about some volunteer actions, about events, what is going on in Voices for Animals. And of course, this is also an important place to get to know the other volunteers and activists in our community. It looks like this, for example, some messages and some channels on the left part. This is very important to have not only channels about work, about only Voice for Animals activities, for example, but also about something about the rest, about communications, just to let's talk about some, for example, interesting events, entertainments, dogs and ads, and something like this. So, as I have already told, Slack is a very good platform to work for the teamwork. So it organizes activities better. It helps in remote work. It helps in remote work so that people from different cities, they can work together on one project. It gives us an opportunity for more effective communication because of user-friendly interface. We can tell it user-friendly. So it's we can have open and private channels. We can of course have private messages. We can have threads. So you won't see. You will see the message, and after that thread according to one topic. or into one topic or question. So, so it's easier to find what is interesting, what is important for you now. We can have notifications there, and this is in collaboration with other services like, for example, Trello, G Suite. Yes, G Suite, it's Gmail, Google Drive, and so on. Airtable, about I have already told, and so on. And of course, it's more information secure than, for example, some social medias like Facebook, OVA, and so on. And here you can focus on work because you don't see a lot of entertain content pictures like then you were in Facebook, for example. So then the person joins lab. We ask him to contact with the team and to tell a short story about himself or herself. So we have a special channel for it, and this is very important thing, not only to the person, then he tells about herself. They communicate with the other people, but also for other volunteers, for old volunteers, they know that somebody joins us, and this is very interesting for them to know all this news and to know something new and interesting about their new Olive. Yes. After that, we introduce person into project. So we connect person with coordinator of the project. So we usually tell the coordinator who is it, why he or she is interested in this project, what she's going to do. And after that, this person goes to coordinator, and coordinator gives her easy first task. It shouldn't be very difficult, so it should be something that will help to understand the context, understand what is going on here in the project, and of course try to make some common meeting during, for example, 2 weeks project meeting. I say, for example, then person wants to work in bioethics, for example. We had this project. So we should make some common meeting and of course invite this new person and to tell all the team who is it. Take care about new person and try to help him to adapt in the new area. To work on some projects, we use Trello. Here you can see how it can look like. In different columns, we have like backlog, some tasks we have to do, and you also can move this art from one column to another, and you can see who is responsible for one task. So then the person comes to you, to your project. You need to have some introduction about this new platform. And after that, we of course have second call to know the status. HR departments, somebody who is responsible for hiring an introduction person. So we have the second video call. We need to know how it is going. Is everything okay, or we have some problems? So here you can help to solve some volunteers' problems if he or she will tell you about it. And you can define the goals for 3-6 months. And after that, you can come back and know about the achievements. So, and about involvement in work process. I won't speak a lot about this part. Here we have in Voices for Animals a lot of work to do now. Of course, we have already started doing something in this way, but maybe next conference I will share some achievements. So I would tell that several main parts. It's telling about achievements, praise, meetings, and speaking clear. So about ONTAT, what I mean that you should always tell the volunteers what is going on in the organization. You should make some announcements, rather, for example, something to tell every day, and to try to share the information. You know, it will share the information with everyone. They would know what is going on, not only in their own project, but in other projects, and what is going on with organization at all. Now we have Monday news, so we tell about previous week. This is rather long message with 5 or 7 news, for example. We tell what's, for example, we took part in some event. So, and who was responsible for it? We start new campaign. We have new person. We are owing to do this or that way, and we are fighting this person. So every Monday we had these messages, and this is rather interesting for all of the volunteers, so they don't feel like they are alone and they don't know what is going on. And this is it's about transparency, I would say. So repeat, and don't think that if you, for example, if you wrote this story, this news 1 week ago, it will be a lot, or no, it won't be a lot. And sometimes people doesn't read, they can be busy, they can just look it for 1 second, and so repeat, and it won't be very good. So don't forget to tell about achievements and praise people, right? We have also a special Slack channel where we tell about in different spheres and campaigns. You can tell about not only about big achievements, but also about something small. Somebody helped you, for example, to find pictures for my presentation, and I would say thank you, Masha, for finding pictures. It was very important, and it helped me, for example, to present this information today to you, and tell about it and praise publicly. This is very important too, and people like it. And in our sphere, then volunteers work only not for money or not for something material. This is the easiest way to motivate them, to help them to continue their work. So praise. Meetings. Here I can tell that you should think not only about formal part of the meeting, but also about informal. What does it mean? Sometimes when we're owing to make some meetings according to some projects, for example, to some new campaigns, we are thinking about telling a lot of important work information. Here we will tell this information, after that this presentation, and after that so in the end they see a long boring meeting for 2 or 3 hours and so on. And we should think about informal parts. Sometimes then they only come to your meeting. We need to make some aim, for example, something to involve them in the process. And then the formal part is done. You and all, for example, to cafe, bar, and so on. And this is very important for volunteers too, because they want to communicate with the people who shares their views of the world, for example. Tell it. So, and speak clear. What I mean. Sometimes we think that when we tell something, this is very clear for everyone who hears you. But no, this doesn't work in this way. Sometimes you should tell more about the task and why are you going, for example, to do it, and what is important part. Always tell how this small action and help the organization and help animals too. For example, you have a very boring task like working with table sheets, for example. You need to work with table sheets for 5 hours and nobody wants to do it. But so then you write in Slack, so who is going to work with table sheets for 5 hours? No one will tell you, yes, I want. So you need to tell how this small action will help you, what important, how important it will be for the campaign and for the animals, so that this table sheet work gives the opportunity to do something bigger and bigger and bigger and helpful for animals. So I think that's all. Feel free to contact me. Oh, sorry, I see Facebook lower. It wasn't going to be here. So yes, I will be glad to talk to you. Maybe you have some ideas about volunteer works, so share it with me. I will be happy about it. Thank you.
So if anyone has any questions, now is the best time to ask them. I just checked the Facebook page. There are no questions there. So maybe now in the chat, anyone wants to ask Yulia something? Okay, so I can start with questions then.
No questions?
Yeah, Yulia, there is always this problem with this kind of platforms as Slack or Trello, from one group or organization to another, that volunteers coming into the organization, sometimes even often, they lose the motivation because these tools are unknown for them and they need to go through them. It's kind of, you know, too much mess. It's uncommon, uncomfortable, and they tend to lose motivation in participating because they lose the notifications about the messages. They say, why cannot we just contact in the chat on Facebook? Bam, bam, bam. How do you cope with this problem in Voices for Animals? Like how you manage to engage people on Slack, Trello, and so on?
You know, I agree with you that this is a big problem too. So we're just trying to help people to adapt to these platforms. So we send them very easy checklist, which I wrote specially for Voices for Animals. So this is not checklist, you know, about Slack at all. There can be a lot of not according to us information. So here I made a checklist only for Voices for Animals workspace. And I asked them, are they okay? does do they understand everything, or they have some problems. And if I see that the person doesn't ask in Slack, so I write them, for example, in Antarctica or somewhere else, and but I don't tell all the information. So, for example, we have tasks, so I write them. Oh, Masha, I have wrote some message in Slack. Is it okay? Do you use Slack yet? So I'm there and check the message, something like this. So I try to put them there every time. But of course, for some kind of people, it can be very difficult. Yes, for somebody, this is easier to use some new services and some platforms, but for somebody, this is like a very difficult task, and they demotivate about it. I don't know what to do with it. Maybe in the future, for the 1 year, for example, we will decide this question. But now we had several people who didn't manage to use these new platforms, yes, and we lose them.
У меня есть вопрос, можно я задам? У меня внутри есть большой вопрос вообще к волонтерству, потому что я сам был волонтером и остаюсь волонтером в некоторых организациях, но, во-первых, это всегда вертикаль, и это то, о чем ты говоришь по поводу того, что ты как HR-персона немножко их как бы, подстраиваешься под них, немножко создаешь такую... то есть это вертикаль. То есть ты ими управляешь. Ты их мотивируешь, ты их там аккуратно как-то окучиваешь, чтобы они сделали то, что тебе нужно. По сути. То есть это же работа. И это создает вертикаль, и мне сложно быть, например, в таких отношениях, когда, есть какой-то человек надо мной, который, лично мне, который там мной управляет, и я вижу эти манипулятивные как бы подходы, они, их видно, и мне иногда тошно. Вот, и это лично про меня. И с другой стороны, не знаю, в моем опыте с моим уровнем HR, то есть достаточно низким, иногда дешевле оказывается нанять людей на full-time на зарплату, и они сделают в 400 раз больше, чем волонтеры, волонтерки на своей мотивации. Именно с точки зрения того, что нужно за ними следить, обучать работать в Slack, заботиться, куда они делись, работать с их ментальными особенностями, заботиться с их мотивацией, вместо того, чтобы просто дать им сколько-то тысяч рублей одному человеку, и он сделает в 400 раз больше. И исключение из этой ситуации является событие. Когда на событие нужно 50 человек, вот они все собрались, у них мотивации хватает, чтобы отработать 12 часов, отрабатывают, выгорают, до свидания, следующее. То есть, а для долгосрочной истории как будто выгоднее платить людям деньги, чтобы они просто изо дня в день занимались чем-то одним, чтобы у них была другая дополнительная мотивация, кроме этической. И в этом отношении например, есть открытые клетки, которые говорят, мы стараемся нанимать людей, которые были у нас волонтерами. А я не буду волонтером в открытых клетках, мне скучно. То есть просто это не мой не мой тип работы в организации. Я хочу в смысле, что я понимаю, что есть профессионалы, которые просто хотят получать деньги, и они не готовы тратить сейчас время на волонтерство. И в этом смысле получается такая дистанция, как будто от людей, которые могут быть просто эффективны. Вот, это я не пикирую открытые клетки, просто как пример того, что люди иногда, они из этого близкого круга волонтеров набирают сотрудников и сотрудниц, хотя у этих людей совершенно другая мотивация, и они, может быть, готовы работать на внутреннем огне, чем на деньгах. Да, прости, очень долгий вопрос. Сейчас Олег заколебется переводить.
Да, я пытаюсь понять, на что отвечать надо будет, и пытаюсь запомнить. Да.
Я пытаюсь понять, на каком языке это самое. То есть, хорошо, так, сейчас что начать?
Могу задать вопрос еще раз в 3 предложениях.
Нет, смотри, подожди, секунду. Поскольку выступление Юли уже было на английском, нормально ли будет, если она ответит тебе на английском, а я просто переведу сейчас твой вопрос? Или как? То есть тебе комфортно будет на английском, или ты послушал бы его на русском?
Нет, я услышу, я просто боюсь говорить на английском, но слушаю на английском.
Короче, тебе нормально. Окей, so then I will just... Юля, тебе нормально будет ответить на этот вопрос на английском?
Ну, я бы на самом деле подискутировала по-русски, это было бы проще. Вот. Но по-английски, то есть мне кажется, что я не донесу часть мыслей, которые я бы хотела.
Окей, поскольку тема дискуссионная, а не столько информационная, я думаю, будет нормально, если мы вообще не будем ее переводить. Ну, потому что реально это и сложно, и невозможно, и не обязательно, может быть, просто действительно тогда по-русски продолжить дискуссию. Я думаю, что это будет в порядке вещей.
Я надеюсь, никто сильно не потеряет, да,
Мы можем сделать потом summary, как мы делали раньше вот на конференции офлайн, которая была в Грузии, когда мы дискутировали 1,5 часа, потом Олег говорил, они говорили о такой херне ужасной. Вкратце вот про это, и все было окей.
Ну, хорошо, вы тогда сами underline какой-то сделаете вот из того, о чем сейчас подискутируете, а я тогда это все озвучу уже в качестве summary, потому что я не знаю, что из этого всего получится. Все, тогда я отключаюсь и...
Не отключайся.
Звук, в смысле, отключаю.
Тимофей, в общем, я понимаю твои в целом с большинством тех стейтментов, которые ты назвал, я согласна в целом. То есть с тем, что это вертикаль, да, однозначно. С тем, что это может быть кому-то некомфортно, тоже согласна. Но для большинства людей это, в принципе, сейчас система абсолютно рабочая, и поэтому это тоже нормально. Вот. Если кому-то не подходит, к сожалению, да, кому-то не подходит. Это личная особенность. Мы, конечно, стараемся призывать людей всячески там, проявлять инициативу и решать задачи самостоятельно в рамках своей там, зоны ответственности или иногда выходя за зону ответственности. Это тоже все можно. Но, конечно, если говорить о вертикали, да, есть определенные просто уже устоявшиеся позиции организации, есть определенные направления, по которым она работает, есть те подходы, которые тоже были выбраны, и, конечно, если человек приходит и пытается вот это вот изменить или предложить какую-то инициативу, которая, ну, не мэпится с выбранным подходом, то, к сожалению, приходится ему отказывать. Да, были даже такие случаи, что, соответственно, из-за этого человек тоже может терять мотивацию. Когда он приходит и вот пытается что-то там свое новое предложить. Я не могу сказать, что выбранный сейчас нами в «Голосах за животных» вариант работы, не знаю, идеальный, и он подходит всем, он не подходит всем, но я вот на протяжении этого времени, наблюдая за тем, что там происходило, допустим, 2 года назад, и вот на протяжении года, смотря, как это все развивается, да, и вот второй год, ну, короче, первый год я наблюдала, а второй год пыталась что-то изменить и преобразовать. Я скажу, наверное, что просто сейчас «Голосам за животных» это наиболее подходящий именно для нее, для вот ее этапа развития и ну, каких-то членов организации, это сейчас подходит для нее лучше. Иначе, то есть сейчас мы не готовы там для абсолютно, возможно, там горизонтальным отношениям или чему-то такому, ну, вот, не знаю. Это очень сложно, с учетом, что волонтеров сейчас довольно много. То есть, допустим, в знаке равенства у нас получается достаточно горизонтально, у нас на 5-6 человек, и это окей. На 60 человек горизонтальность, ну, не знаю, мне по крайней мере, пока неведомо, как это сделать, хорошую работающую горизонтальность на 60 человек. Вот. А что касается второй части вопроса про людей, которые работают на зарплате, да, и я вообще супер согласна с тем, что порой на вот это вот поддержание мотивации и вообще какое-то взращивание волонтеров уходит очень много сил, и они часто там, да, откалываются, и они часто вот как раз теряют мотивацию, и нужно узнавать, и нужно подбирать им по всем подходы, и нужно там обо всех них заботиться. И в некоторых случаях действительно человек на зарплате, конечно, мог бы выполнить всю эту работу, там, не знаю, свою 40-часовую рабочую неделю, допустим, сделать то, что мы там 2 месяца пытаемся добиться от 20 волонтеров, предположим. Это да, и, наверное, я бы видела, конечно, идеальный вариант да, координаторы направлений и какие-то вот ключевые персоны в организации работают на зарплате, но все равно у них есть волонтеры и помощники, которые периодически приходят и какую-то часть работы, не такую большую, не full-time, но они выполняют. И задача была, раз вот эти вот задания, это же вообще достаточно жесткий отсев происходит, допустим. На этих 5 заданиях мы не получаем, то есть в итоге до нас доходит не более 20% людей, которые заполнили заявку. То есть мы отсекаем на заданиях 80% людей. Но, собственно, да, к сожалению, статистика это ава. То есть до этого была такая ситуация, что люди приходят, а потом ты не понимаешь, где они вообще, почему они никак себя не проявляют. Вот. И еще больше усилий тратится, прям активистов в организации и координаторов направлений на то, чтобы узнать вообще там, как бы жив, не жив человек, что-то будет делать или не будет ничего делать, и вообще какое ему задание подойдет. Вот. Поэтому мы решили вот устроить такой отсев, и, соответственно, на выходе мы получаем 20% людей, но которые, во-первых, однозначно поняли, что нужно будет тратить время на волонтерство, но и не понимают этого, многие думают, не знаю, просто присоединиться в чате и посидеть, и, может, не знаю, раз в месяц съездить в приют для животных. К сожалению, и не понимают, что такое там, записываются куда-то не туда, куда хотели бы на самом деле. Вот, мы получаем людей, которые понимают, что нужно будет тратить время, силы, и, соответственно, уже те, кто не в состоянии 2-3 часа посвятить на выполнение заданий, вот по статистике примерно столько времени уходит на выполнение этих 5 заданий, соответственно, вряд ли они нам будут полезны в дальнейшем, если они уже на этом этапе ничего не могут сделать. И второе, они приходят уже с некоторым пониманием, опять же, подходов, методик, которые мы применяем, которые для нас, которые мы выбрали, которые для нас работают. Вот. И, соответственно, мы имеем меньше вот этих вот, сказать, вопросов и инициатив, которые не подходят нам в данной ситуации. То есть люди изначально уже понимают, окей, мы работаем так, соответственно, там мое предложение или что-то, либо они его пересмотрят, либо они просто сами поймут, что там вот эта идея, она не по эффективному альтруизму, предположим. Типа, давайте там поедем спасать собаку где-нибудь в лесу там, или что-нибудь такое. Вот, поэтому в целом мы получаем меньше людей, и я вообще за то, чтобы волонтеров было не сильно-то много, лучше пусть их будет меньше, но более качественных. И в целом нормально работающая команда в проекте, это многим известно, 7 плюс-минус 2 человека, то есть от 5 до 9, это как бы нормальное состояние команды. К сожалению, когда их становится там 20-30, количество связей между ними, количество задач, это все очень размывается и очень сложно отследить, и происходит невероятное перекладывание ответственности друг на друга, что тут еще 20 человек сидит, почему мне надо взяться 5 часов вот эти вот таблицы перебирать или еще что-то нужно. В общем, вот, в итоге вот мы пришли к такому варианту сейчас. Посмотрим, что будет дальше, как это будет дальше развиваться.
Да, спасибо. Там есть вопрос. Или Олег хочет сделать summary, или Юля, не знаю.
The summary, I don't know how to make the summary out of it. It was about the vertical and horizontal connections in the group. I don't know what the conclusions are, because I guess it's just more about sharing experiences, both of Timofey and Yulia. So I guess people who don't speak Russian just need to learn one, at some point. It will be very useful. No, seriously, it's like it's a very hard to summarize this all. I guess we can go to another question, which I will. It's on Facebook. Maria Bronchenko is asking, do you have volunteer opportunities for the people who are not who are not living in Russia? As far as I understand, yeah, because there will some volunteers in Uzbekistan, as we saw in your Slack, or Trello. Do you have volunteers in other countries? This is the question.
We have volunteers from other countries, but usually this is countries near the Russia, like SNE, know how it's in English. But I can tell that we try to, sometimes it can be difficult for them to take part in our activities because we have a lot of activities according to laws. For example, we are working with laws in Russia, so this is it can be not very interesting, for example, for people in Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Latvia, and so on. And sometimes when we have all, I tell these people about organization, like they have the same view, they have similar campaigns and so on in their countries. Sometimes people just doesn't know about this organization, so I can tell that in Latvia we have this organization. Maybe it will be interesting for you to join them, for example.
Можно я еще короткий вопрос задам?
Ну, конечно же.
Вопрос такой. Что для тебя, скажи, пожалуйста, в первую очередь вообще волонтерская сила? Это экономия денег, или это формирование команды, или это формирование сообщества, которое изменяет мир? Ну, по факту, да, потому что это там куча людей, у них есть свои друзья и подруги, и вот это все. Или это что-то еще? И, может быть, у вас есть какой-то отработанный принцип, почему вы вообще работаете с волонтерами, волонтерками? Это как, ну, опять же, экономия денег, или это формирование будущей команды, что вы будете им платить, или это, что вы делаете количество вегетарианцев и вегетарианок, веганов и веганок значительным, чтобы это все запустилось? Или что-то еще?
Можно я вот это уже переведу? Это более конкретный вопрос, я думаю, что... So the question is, what is for you, Yulia, the volunteer power, volunteer force? Is it the economy of resources, or is it the way to build a new team of devoted people who are who are working for the animals without taking money into account? How do you feel this process of building the connections, and how do you feel this way of working?
Thank you, Timothy, for this question. And so that now, of course, we have volunteers just because we don't have money to pay people. And the organization started how many years ago? Then it was Vita, it was 2012, and persons who started it in St. Petersburg, they were volunteers, and they are volunteers now. After that, in 2017, it became Voices for Animals, and we also have only volunteers now. We are owing, this is the first month, and we are trying to make some paid staff for in 1-2 person, yes. And of course, this our goal is to make more paid staff, like coordinators of different projects, and we choose them who will be paid from our volunteers. Yes, first of all, because they are the most interested in everything and they are the most motivated. But this is difficult to tell that, of course, this is the group of people who can change the world, and we are spreading it and so on. This is very good. But in future, I can see that it won't be on the first place, you know. So I see like we will have not so big, but a group of professionals who will work on law, who will work with business and so on. And so it won't be just about communication and spreading, you know, talking to each other and so on. So I can tell something like this.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question. It's not not only about the volunteers. I guess it's about the team building and the team function in general. Do you have any kind of like conflicts policy? I don't know, harassment policy, any kind of policies around like inside the organization that helps, you know, prevent some unpleasant situations or solve some problems on a systematic level? This kind of stuff.
Yes, you know, sometimes we have some troubles inside the team. Usually, and it was connected because of the period of introduction. So we didn't have this process, and the person was just taking, okay, let's work with us, and the person didn't understand like the rights of the organization and how we communicate to each other and how we should show the problem. For example, sometimes we can see the problem in process. It's okay, and we should tell that, oh, this is the problem, and I know how to solve it. I know what we can do to make it better. But sometimes we can meet a person who just, oh, problem, you did very bad or something like this. Yes, we had this. We talked to these people one by one, something like this. We told that this is not okay. Just try to tell your idea in another way, in a constructive way. Tell about the ways how to solve the problem. Now we don't have a lot of these problems, I think, and I hope this tense will be in the future too.
Okay, thank you. One more question I have. Can you name the main, maybe the most typical or the most popular mistakes with the working with volunteers, maybe like typical for organizations of your type? Let's say, I guess they appear from the very beginning, maybe not. Do you know this kind of HR secrets about the most typical mistakes when you build the relationship from the beginning, you know, with people who come to volunteer?
I think that the first typical mistake is taking everyone who filled the form or who just wrote, I want to be a volunteer. So without any communication, without knowing these people better, closer. The second mistake is that we don't tell a lot about projects, about the tasks which can be the role that the person can play in the organization. So I think we just think, or everyone knows it. So we have it on our sites, on our social medias, but these people don't understand. They just met maybe your organization and they don't understand what they really can do. So talk a lot about it. And the last maybe a lack of feedback, I think. So we don't have this regular calls. We don't ask person to tell about their troubles, their problems, what they can see, where he can see the problem. But we should ask feedback, and this is very important for you too, and you can see something that you didn't see earlier. So this is new eyes, new person, and it can really give you a very interesting food for thought. Like this.
Thank you very much. Okay. I can see no more questions. Does anyone else here in Zoom wants to ask Yulia anything? Okay, then. Thank you so much, Yulia. It was very interesting speech and very actual for nowadays for all the group, as I already said. Have a nice day, and thanks a lot. And we are making a short pause again for less than half an hour, and in half an hour, Elena Kapa from Open Cages Belarus will give an overview about animal rights in Belarus. So stay with us, stay connected, and see you all. Спасибо большое, Юля. Было очень интересно. Это очень важные, актуальные все вопросы, которые освещали сегодня. Хорошего дня и все такое. Обязательно еще увидимся.